All right, hello. How's everybody doing? It's Maddie here from Chilled TCG. We have a very special video today. We're going to be looking at the 10 best decks for the standard format going into October 2020. First and foremost, I want to let you all know that all of the data and statistics used in these videos and in these graphics were collected by Cash Vendor Man and Pokestats.com. Pokestats is an amazing company that records the results of all the online tournaments and events in the community, and Cash was awesome enough to rank each one of these deck archetypes using a point system which was based off of all the top cut placements from these online events. The rankings we see here in this video are going to be from the last week of September. But definitely go check out Cash on Twitter at Cashman27 and check out the Pokestats website, PTCGstats.com. Getting right into it, let's take a look at the number 10 spot. Mewtwo and Mew GX with the Frostmoth engine. Moist Mewtwo, as some people like to call it, was a deck list that people really began running after that Tricky Gym video was posted, but this deck list is no joke. People prefer to still run the Mewtwo Welder variant of Mewtwo and Mew GX, but this is, this Frostmoth engine definitely has its upsides. Placing third at the Chill Series number 4 was definitely, I think, the most notable placement for this deck most recently, but it actually placed 15th at the Limitless Series number 1, which had over 150 participants, which is very impressive. There doesn't seem to be that many different ways to play this archetype, of course. Most people are just going to be running the Keldeo and Blastoise GX to give them some solid offensive and defensive capabilities. Frostmoth isn't considered the most consistent engine type, but it can definitely put in work sometimes. Coming in at 52 points, Mew 3 Frostmoth is more than just a meme. Mewtwo and Mew GX has always been a very powerful attacker. Being paired with Frostmoth and Blastoise GX, Mew 3 is able to get plenty of energy onto the board early in the game and get some nasty one-hit KOs on some of the biggest Pokemon in the format right now. Overall, it might not be as consistent of a list as Mew 3 Welder, but I highly suggest trying this deck out at least once. And at the number 9 spot, we have Charizard and Braixen GX. This deck has kind of bursted onto the scene in this past week, actually placing first at the Chill Series number 5 this past Wednesday, but technically these rankings and these graphics were created before the Chill Series number 5 tournament, so that's why it only has 52 points here on the list. That's also why I ranked it above Mew 3 Frostmoth, even though they had the same amount of points. This archetype has really been utilizing hand disruption and how strong that is in the current format right now. Fernando Cifuentes was running a greens engine while also running reset stamp and hammers, as well as Jesse and James, which made it really difficult to deal with this deck in the late game. This format has been dominated by metal-type decks recently, like ADP Zacian and Luke Metal, so Welder lists have definitely been taking advantage of that. I think that Braixen and Charizard is one of the most disruptive Welder decks in the format right now, if not the most disruptive, so it can definitely be scary to run into, like, in the middle of bracket. The 52 CP ranking, like I said, was before the Chill Series number 5 tournament, so the correct points tally should be somewhere around 68 CP, I think, at the moment. Definitely expect to see this deck more in the near future. Honestly, I think it's a completely busted deck list, so go try it out. Alright, let's take a look at our number 8 spot. Mewtwo and Mew GX Welder has been a relevant deck list in this standard format for a long time now. It's still a great archetype, tried and true. The list hasn't changed much over the last few months. Lots of people have been running lists that are inspired by all of these Henry brand lists, of course, being a great Mew 3 player himself. But recently, I've seen a lot of people running Stealthy Hood in these lists, sort of as a counterplay to the Mimikyu counter that people are running to play against this deck. Jirachi has also been seeing a lot of play in these lists as well, still giving you some consistent draw support to find those Welders, Giant Hearths, and any other trainer cards that you might need throughout the game. Racking up a modest 82 points, the placements for Mew 3 Welder have been pretty consistent recently, placing second at Hexter's number 16 and second at the first Pokex Challenge. Both of these tournaments are very legitimate events. Giving second in those tournaments is, of course, really impressive. Not to mention, it also placed third at the first Atlas Mini and 10th as well at the Chill Series number 4 tournament. Mew 3 Welder is an oldie but a goodie, and I don't expect this archetype to go anywhere anytime soon. As the standard format evolves, however, the rotations keep coming. This list will inevitably fall off. This is going to happen, of course, because all of the GX cards that are used to power up Mew 3 are going to inevitably get rotated out, so I suggest that you play this deck list while you still can. Alright, and here at our number 7 spot, we have our first single prize archetype deck list. One of the newer archetypes as well on this list coming out in Darkness Ablaze. Decidueye and Goons is the go-to control deck in the current format right now. Both cards having a fantastic immunity when paired together. This makes this deck super annoying to play against sometimes. The hype is real with Decigoons placing first at the Atlas Mini number 5 recently, and 8th as well at the Chill Series number 3. In the past few weeks, this deck hasn't placed as well as it did when Darkness Ablaze was first coming out, but it still sees a lot of decent amount of play these days, and also it got 12th at the Limitless #1 tournament and 13th at the Sunday Open on the 27th, which of course is not too bad at all. Decigoons isn't really an archetype that has room for a lot of different variants and a lot of different tech cards to be put in, but I have seen some people playing Mimikyu in this list, which is of course very useful when you're paired when it's paired with those Zigzagoons. It's also running Mew, right, to protect your bench from that pesky Pikarom deck list, which still is seeing a whole lot of play right now in the standard format. Ranking 7th on our list with 142 points, Decigoons can be really, really fun to play sometimes, but it's really honestly not fun to play against sometimes, and it can definitely make your opponent rage, which honestly is always really fun. Moving on to the number 6 spot on our list, we have personally one of my least favorite deck archetypes right now in the format, and that is Blacephalon from Unbroken Bonds. After losing Fiery Flint this past rotation, Blacephalon definitely took, a pretty decent loss of one of its more aggressive support cards. But taking a more methodical approach, Blounce is still a fantastic list. Again, it takes advantage of this metal type dominated format that we have right now in the current meta, but not a whole lot of variance in this archetype, right? Some people choose to play Cramorant V to snipe those last few prizes at the end of the game. We don't have access to Blacephalon GX anymore, so Cramorant seems to be the best option. Blacephalon did get first at the AZUIGG sub-tournament recently, and also got second at that big Limitless Series #1 tournament. Both very impressive placements for this list, and it also got 4th at the Atlas monthly tournament, got 5th at Chill Series #3, and 7th at the most recent Sunday Open, so lots of placements recently for Blounce. Blacephalon remains to be one of the top decks in the standard format right now, but the massive HP count for some of the VMAXs right now, along with that loss of Fiery Flint, Blounce has taken a slight hit, but still incredibly scary deck to play against, racking up 270 points. A fantastic list right now, and I highly recommend that you try it out, but don't play it against me. Moving on to the number 5 spot on our list, it's going to be the OG himself, Pikachu and Zekrom GX. Everyone thought that this list was going to be taking a big hit after rotation, losing Thunder Mountain and Electro Power. They were right, but no one really expected Pikarom to still be as good as it is right now in this current meta. Pikarom got first place at the Chill Series #4, the Sunday Open on the 27th, and it also got first at Tag Bolt #10, which still blows my mind to this day, to be honest. Pikarom also got second at Hexters #15 and the Epoch Cup on the 22nd. These placements speak for themselves, and Pikachu and Zekrom is still a very impactful archetype right now in the standard format. There have been a few different variants that people have tried to play recently for Pikarom, from playing Picavolt to Hammers and even Green's Pikarom recently. Several people have been trying to find the new best way to play this deck, and as a result have been placing extremely well recently in all these online events. When you think when you're getting rid of Pikarom, it comes back and it starts winning tournaments, so definitely keep an eye out for Pikarom in the near future. For a long time to come, at least, this deck is looking to be pretty consistent. Ranking 5th on our list with 292 points. There's not much else I can really say about Pikarom. It's one of my least favorite decks to play against, but undoubtedly a busted list. Alright, getting on to the second half of our list, let's check out the next deck. At number 4 on our list, we have Lucario and Melmetal Zacian. This deck has been played a ton in the past month or two, where it has really started to come into its own, placing first at the Hexters #15 and Epoch Cup on the 22nd, as well as second at both the AZUIGG sub-tournament and the Chill Series #3. All very solid placements for Luke Metal. Lucas Oldell, also got 6th at the Limitless Series #1, but he also got 2nd at this past Chill Series #5 this past Wednesday. This graphic was, made before that event happened, so just another great placement for this deck. Shout out to Lucas, and means that this ranking should be even higher than it is. Ranking at number 4th, right, with 367 points, riding super close right behind the 3rd and 2nd ranked decks, like we'll see here in a minute. Luke Metal has quickly become one of the best decks in the standard format right now. We saw people running Bronzong in this list to, of course, help with all of those pesky Welder decks that are so common right now in the format. And even Galarian Stunfisk V, which can definitely be putting in some work given the right circumstances. Lucas Oldale was running Hammers in his list here in the last Chill Series tournament. They definitely helped him a lot in several of the matchups that he played in. Luke Metal thrives in the long game, right? Being able to choke your opponent from having too many energies on the board can sometimes net you the win condition if your opponent's not really careful going into the late game. So I would keep your eye on Luke Metal, especially in these next few months. Once we get that new special energy from Vivid Voltage, this deck is only going to get better as time goes on, so keep your eye out for Lucario and Melmetal Zacian. And now we're on to our top 3 decks for our list. In our number 3 spot, we have another one of the newer archetypes to come out in Darkness Ablaze, and that is going to be Centiskorch VMAX. Scorch is a very interesting deck which has been inching closer and closer to Eternatus VMAX as far as top placements go. Over time, people have really begun to figure out how to best use this archetype. Centiskorch, has access to all of those amazing fire-type support cards like Welder and Giant Hearth, Fire Crystal, and of course Volcanion. With its ability to hit for massive damage and its ability to accelerate energy to itself with its attack, Centiskorch is definitely one of the scariest decks that we have right now in the current standard format. Looking at the placements, right, well, we see that it's actually placed first at that huge Limitless Series number 1 tournament, and it got second at the most recent Sunday Open, third at the Hexters number 14 by our very own Cash Vendor Man, with the 10th and 13th as well at the Atlas Mini number 4 and Chill Series number 4. Some people have been playing Green's Exploration with Centiskorch, which can definitely have its advantages at times. Keeping your bench free from, having those gustable 2-prize support Pokemon can definitely be a really big advantage, but most lists are going to be running the abilities version of Centiskorch with Jirachi, Heatran, and all those other great support cards that you can make use of. With 371 points just ahead of Luke Metal, Centiskorch is definitely a deck that you do not want to mess with. It's also one of the only decks at the moment that still has that crazy one-hit KO potential, even on those bigger 3-prize Pokemon and VMAXs. So that is completely busted. Centiskorch VMAX, just a fantastic list, and one that I personally really enjoy playing. Eternatus VMAX, the most highly anticipated deck to come out of Darkness Ablaze, and it's just barely taking our number 2 spot. Eternatus kind of seemed like a monster when it first came out, but over time we've seen it kind of decline in play slowly, as well as, declining in placements recently. Eternatus is number 2 on our list, mostly because of how often that it's seeing play right now, but in terms of top placements, it's definitely, been falling short in these past few weeks, getting 3rd at Atlas Mini number 5, 3rd at the Limitless Series number 1, were most notable placements for this week, most recently, but it also got, a few 4th place finishes at both the Chill Series number 4 tournament and the Epoch Series number 2. Typically, I've really only seen 2 main variants for Eternatus VMAX, the first of which being the Poison variant, running the Galarian Slowbro V, those Toxicroaks and Dark Cities. Other than that, it's basically just, that basic Eternatus variant, running Zigzagoons and Hoopas, and even maybe a Sableye V as well. Both lists are going to be focused around, the consistent Pokemon search, as well as placing those extra damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon. The main goal for Eternatus players seems to just be setting up your bench in those first few turns and placing a few extra damage counters on your opponent's active Pokemon or their bench Pokemon to ensure those, that consistent turn 2 KO, one-hit KOs on things like ADP or Mewtwo GX. I've even seen a lot of people playing Hammers in this list recently too, which is funny, since, every other deck in the format right now seems to be playing Hammers, and Hammers are, of course, one of the best counters for Eternatus itself. It just sort of makes sense, especially for those ADP matchups and the Ditto matchup. With 385 points ranking second on our list, Eternatus is definitely not going anywhere for a while, and without a doubt is going to be one of the top decks in the standard format for a long time to come. Finally, last but not least, we get to the top spot on our list, the deck that everyone knew would be number 1, ADP Zacian. What can I really say about ADP Z? This deck is the definition of busted. But look at this points totals here, 761 points, literally almost double Eternatus at the second spot. And yeah, I know, ban ADP, blah, blah, blah. But seriously, this deck is just everywhere right now in the format. And just, look at these recent placements, right? First at the Hexter number 14, first at Sunday Open, second at the Atlas Mini, second at the Chill Series number 4, and third at Tag Bolt number 10, not even mentioning all of the absurd amount of top 8 placements and top 16 placements that this deck has gotten in just the past few weeks. With both ADP and Zacian being both very obtainable and, easy to get cards right now, it's just, really easily to get the cards that you need to build an incredibly busted list using these cards, which is exactly what people are doing. I see the new ADP Zacian variant pop up pretty much every week almost, it seems. But, the most prominent ones that I've seen so far have been ADP Hammers, of course, Pokemon Catchers, which is also a really great variant that I play myself sometimes. Persian GX is another one that actually plays second at the Chill Series number 4. And, of course, Clay DP, which has just infested the entire Player Cup 2 qualifier tournament so far. People also just run a ton of counter techs in ADP Zacian sometimes, effectively just making it an ADP box list, like running Mawile GX, Milotic V, Duraludon, Zamazenta V, amongst others, can also just make a really great variant in itself. ADP Zacian really needs to just cool its jets. Hopefully this archetype can just fall off sometime soon, because the current format just hasn't been very healthy, being dominated by this archetype so much. And I think that plenty of people would agree. So that's going to be it for our list. That's going to be our number 1 spot, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And that's going to wrap up the video. There it is, the top 10 decks in the standard format right now going into the month of October for the year 2020. Again, I also want to give just a huge shout out to Cash Vendor and PokeStats for giving me everything I needed to make this video. And I wanted to thank you all for tuning in and watching. The support has been incredible, and it definitely means a lot to me. If you have free time on Wednesday night, I highly suggest that you check out our weekly PTCGO tournament, the Chill Series. Our 6th event of the season is coming up this Wednesday, sponsored by Guardian Gaming TCGs, who are donating an incredibly generous 200 Darkness Ablaze packs to our prize pool. If you enjoy competing in PTCGO and are looking for a chill community who enjoys the same things as you do, please come check us out. The link to our community Discord is down below. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I will see you guys all very soon.